How do you legally and easily reduce your taxes, potentially even to zero tax? There are a number of factors that go into any offshore tax plan, and you need to make sure that all of the boxes are checked, not just one. So I've developed what I call the tax quadrant, how to easily figure out that you're checking all of the boxes. I'll tell you how that works in this video. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson, and one of the big misconceptions that I often have to work with people on when I'm helping them is understanding that there's more than one thing that you need to do if you want to have a workable offshore tax plan. Now, I'm a big proponent and a big advocate of telling you that you want to do things legally. You don't want to cut corners. You don't want to be using hacks or cheat codes. You want to just do things the proper way. And not only is that going to make sure that you're staying compliant and staying free, but it's also going to make sure that you're going to have a more operationally sound structure in the long run. So let's go over the quadrant. Let's imagine we've got a box, and we're going to cut that box into 4 equal parts. So we've got a square with 4 squares inside of it. Now, along the top of that box, we're going to, up top, the top squares, we're going to say leaving, and we're going to say arriving. Okay, so one column is leaving, one column is arriving. Now we're going to go to the side of the square, of the quadrant, and we have 2 rows. On the top, we're going to say personal, and on the bottom, we're going to say business. These are the 4 quadrants that you need to address with any kind of tax plan. Where are you as a person leaving, and where are you arriving? Where are you as a business leaving, and where are you arriving? And so these things can be kind of complicated. They don't have to all be the same place, but you need to make sure you've addressed each of them. So let's start with you as a person. Let's say you live in Canada. Okay. You need to find a way personally, if you'd like to exempt your personal income, your salaries, and generally the interest in any companies that you own or control, thanks to things like CFC rules, you need to figure out how to leave Canada. So how does that work? Well, as Canadians, along with pretty much every other country in the world, can go through a process of leaving their country, becoming tax non-resident. It's increasingly complicated. There are a lot of moving parts. There's actually, I think, a 6-page list of things that you should consider doing before you go. But you can leave the country. You don't have to give up your citizenship. You can stay a citizen, but you're just going to be somewhere else a majority of the time. If you're a U.S. citizen, things get a little complicated, but you can still get most of the benefits, or at least a substantial amount of benefits, by also being physically present outside of the United States. So how do you do that? How do you make sure you're checking the boxes in the country where you personally are living to make sure that you're exiting their tax system to the extent that is possible? Now, where are you arriving? Okay. This is an area people get confused with. They say, oh, well, I left the United States, so now I can go wherever I want, and I'm somehow magically free from paying tax. But if where you're arriving is living full-time in Paris, now you're going to be arriving in France, and you're going to have a worse time with the tax. You're going to be so miserable, right? So you want to make sure that not only are you leaving, but you're arriving somewhere that's positive. So one rather straightforward strategy is you're going to live in Dubai or Vanuatu or Monaco, or a country that simply has no tax. There's no need to do any planning. You simply live there. And if that's the case, where you're arriving is not going to pose any further tax complications. Then there are all kinds of other tax strategies. We've talked about them here on our channel. Territorial tax, tax exemptions, non-dom tax, lump sum tax, all kinds of ways. And just plain old countries that have low tax rates. I have a summer home in Montenegro. They've got pretty low personal tax rates, and it may be worth just saying, I just want to pay low taxes. How about paying 9%? Even, you don't have to pay 0, but I'm arriving somewhere. Maybe I'm arriving in multiple places. Maybe you want to live as I do, the way that I like to live, not even for tax reasons, but because I like to live in a couple of different places every year. Okay, well, now you need to make sure that you're in good shape in all of those places. So where are you arriving personally, physically? Where's your body arriving is important. And if you've got a family, where they're living and they're arriving is going to be important too, because you're going to be judged on your movements as a family. Now let's go to the second part, the second row, which is the business part. Where is your business now? If you are like me, you have a business perhaps in your home country. I was in the United States, I had a United States business, and you'd pay a lot of tax on that business. So that company needs to move. Not only do you need to figure out where you're leaving, but you also need to figure out where the business is leaving. Okay, that's the second part of the quadrant. And so that means that the company should be moved offshore. Now, there may be ways to make your current company a subsidiary or to make it part of your mix, and there's all kinds of different strategies that can be employed, but your main operating company, generally speaking, should be somewhere else. And this is where you get to, as I say, choose your tax rate. There are countries that let you pay 0. There are countries that let you pay 5%, but they give you a residence permit, or they let you pay 10%, but they'll give you citizenship if you move there and hire somebody. Lots of different options. All of them, or many of them, better than what you're paying right now, but you want your company to move. And so there's no way we can go into all the different possible strategies in one video. This is why there is a lot of finesse to this, but the important thing is you understand that your company is moving. A company that's based in Australia is going to pay Australian tax. Move it to somewhere else and pay that tax. Make sure that when you're moving your company, you're doing everything properly. There may be some taxes to be paid on the way out. There may be some things that need to be moved or reorganized. Again, every situation is different. But then there's the last piece. Where is that company arriving? Okay. This is where people set up, offshore companies in tax havens or in low tax countries. They give them special benefits because, again, you get to choose where you arrive. Now, all these 4 factors need to work together. What I always remind people is just because you're leaving doesn't mean you're leaving for good. You can always come back. I'm not asking you to renounce your citizenship or give up your rights to ever go back to where you're from or ever be able to move back home and start a business. What I'm saying is if you want to put together an international tax plan, these are the 4 quadrants that you need to consider. We've got a lot of videos that go into more detail on each of these things, but obviously with anything offshore tax related, the answer is it depends. You should get some help. And if you'd like to get some help, keep watching to learn how you can do that. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I wrote this book, which you can find on Amazon, to distill a lot of the stuff we talk about in these videos and a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last decade plus traveling all around the world, teaching you about how to legally reduce your taxes, build your personal freedom, and create wealth faster. Definitely get a copy of this book if you want to learn more. Now, if you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notifications bell so you never miss one of our new videos with more tips on how to go where you're treated best. And if you're already a 6- or 7-figure entrepreneur and you'd like to put these strategies in place for yourself, go to nomadcapitalist.com and learn about how I can help you.